أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. قال الله في كتابه الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن تعدوا نعمة الله لا تحصوها إن الله لغفور رحيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Illuminate your hearts and your minds with a loud salawat ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. After the passing of the Prophet ﷺ, the life of the Imam Ali ﷺ, the Amirul Mu'mineen, was nothing less than struggles and hardships, one after the other. And these struggles or hardships were brought and revelated from the Imam Ali ﷺ in a khutbah or a sermon called the khutbah of Shiqshiqiyya, or the other name that it has been referred to, khutbatul maqammas. This khutbah can be found inside of the Nahj al-Balagha. It's the third sermon that has been brought in the Nahj al-Balagha, which brings and shows the different tragedies that has gone through the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam after the passing of the Prophet, our Prophet, the Prophet Muhammad. The Imam Ali alayhi salam was stuck in a place where he had to choose between waiting through this dark times, which the Khilafat was given to the wrong person, Abu Bakr, or to lead an uprising or rebellion. The uprising or rebellion was cut off of the list because the Prophet ﷺ or the Imam Ali ﷺ, that if the Khilafat or the leadership of the Muslims was given to an evil person, an unjust person, then do not lead an uprising unless you have at least 10 companions. And the Imam Ali ﷺ only had 4, so he took this off the list. The second was to wait. The Imam Ali ﷺ then understood that the best choice of action here was to wait, was to have patience through the dark times. These dark times that the Muslim or a believer would have nothing but hardships trying to maintain their beliefs until the day of their passing. The Imam Ali alayhi salam summarizes the weight and the patience and the irritation and the frustration that he went through as a bone in the throat and a thorn in the eye. فَصَبَرْتُ وَفِي الْعَيْنِ قَضَى وَفِي الْحَلْقِ الشَّجَى. I waited as if there was a bone in my throat and there was a thorn in my eye. The Imam Ali alayhi salam went through such irritation that it could not be changed, nothing could be done for it but to wait and see what happens. He saw as they took his rightful inheritance, the khilafat, the leadership over the Muslims, almost the same as they did to spoils of war. It was almost as they had defeated the Imam Ali alayhi salam and they took the khilafat or the leadership of the Muslims from him the same way that they would take spoils of war. The Imam Ali alayhi salam waited and he waited and he waited until the day of the passing of the first Khalifa, Abu Bakr. فَأَدْلَى بِهَا إِلَى فُلَانٍ بَعْدَهُ. Even though he passed away, the Imam Ali ﷺ here was hopeful. He was expecting that the Khilafat would be given to him, that the leadership over the Muslims or the believers would be given to him. But no, they didn't let this happen. فَأَدْلَى بِهَا إِلَى فُلَانٍ بَعْدَهُ. The leadership or the Khilafat of the Muslims was given to Umar, the next person in line. The Imam Ali alayhi salam then had to wait. How long was the leadership of Umar? At least we can say 10 years. The Imam Ali alayhi salam waited the first 2 years for him to become the leader of the Muslims. For after the passing of Abu Bakr, he was hopeful and expecting that the Khilafat or the leadership would be given to him. But even though the passing of Abu Bakr came, the Khilafat was still not given to him and given to the wrong person, Umar, for 10 years. So about 12 years the Imam Ali alayhi salam waited. And even though 12 years passed and the passing of Umar came, then the Khilafat of Uthman came. The Imam Ali alayhi salam was not given any chance to help the Muslims or help the believers get back on their feet. Peace be upon Allah, salawat ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. One question comes to mind. Why did no one stand up for the Imam Ali alayhi salam? Even though in the day of Ghadir, everyone remembers this. It has been recorded through history without any doubt of its proof. The Prophet ﷺ raised the hand of Imam Ali ﷺ and said, Man kuntu mawla, fahada aliyun mawla. Whoever I am his master, Ali is his master. Even though Ghadir happened and the Prophet obviously chose Imam Ali alayhi salam by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the leader of the Muslims after him, why did no one stand up for Ghadir? Why did no one stand up for Imam Ali alayhi salam? The reason was that the enemies or the people that did not want Islam or the leadership of the Muslims to fall into Imam Ali's alayhi salam hand had threatened or even bribed the people to take their hands off of the rightful leadership. That they should not even lead an uprising or should not follow Imam Ali alayhi salam, for if they didn't, they would threaten them. And some of them wouldn't even go there because they would have already been bribed. The Imam Ali alayhi salam, after all the hardships and after all the struggles, he then similarizes it to a poem written by Asha. ثُمَّ تَمَثَّلَ بِقَوْلِ الْأَعْشَى. He then similarizes his situation to a poem recited by Asha. Asha was a person who was born in a type of tribe that would go through the deserts and venture around. This tribe was always in the hot and in the heat. There was nothing but hardships that the tribe went through. One day Asha got sick and tired of this. He said, I'm going to make a name for myself and I'm going to go to a place where there's more comfort. He went to the big city, the kingdom. Then he met the king, and after the king saw his talent in poem and as a poet, he then took him as his poet. In the past, poets were very popular, so kings would always have one. Asha then after a while became popular. He rised up the ranks and he lived a very comfortable life. And one day he recited a poem saying, شَتَّانِ مَا يَوْمَ عَلَى كُورَهَا وَيَوْمَ حَيَّانَ أَخِي جَابِرٍ. Oh, what a difference there is in my life from the day that I used to be in the tribe to the day that I was with the brother of Jabir. Akhi Jabir, the brother of Jabir, the person that took Asha as his poet. He's using this poem to show how much of a difference there is between the time that he was with Hayyan, the brother of Jabir, and to the time he used to live in the tribe, the time he used to be in the caravan. So the Imam Ali alayhi salam here uses the poem of Asha, uses the poem that was recited by Asha to similarize his situation, but not in the way that Asha summarized it, but the exact opposite. He here uses this poem to show how much of a difference there is between the time he was living with the Prophet Muhammad and the time after the passing of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Imam Ali alayhi salam here in this poem, in this similarization that was brought from the poet of Asha, he's using this to show that there was such difference between the time that the Prophet ﷺ was alive and after his passing. The Imam Ali alayhi salam lived with such dignity, he had such honor, but after the passing of the Prophet ﷺ, there was nothing but struggles and hardships one after the other. The Imam Ali alayhi salam shows us the hardships or the difference that there was through the poem that was recited by Asha. The Imam Ali alayhi salam then in the continuation of the khutbah or the sermon of Shiqshqiyyah, he says, فَيَا عَجَبًا بَيْنَ هُوَ يَسْتَقِيلُهَا فِي حَيَاتِهِ إِذْ عَقَدَهَا لِآخَرَ بَعْدَ وَفَاتِهِ. He says, what surprise, what shock, what astonishment there is for the first Khalifa. Even though when he was alive and elected to be the Khalifa, he still chose Umar as the caliphate after him. When Abu Bakr was chosen and elected as the leader of the Muslims, what did Abu Bakr say? He said, أَغِيلُونِي أَغِيلُونِي لَسْتُ بِخَيْرُكُمْ. Let go of me. Do not give me this leadership, for I am not the best of you. And in the continuation, he himself says, عَلِيٌّ فِيكُمْ. The best of you is Ali. There's Ali among you. Why don't you choose Ali? Abu Bakr himself knew this and he told the people, but the people still chose Abu Bakr. And even though Abu Bakr knew that the position of Imam Ali alayhi salam was higher than anyone there was, he was more worthy and deserving of khilafat than anyone, he still passed it on to Umar. فَيَا عَجَبًا بَيْنَ هُوَ يَسْتَقِيلُهَا فِي حَيَاتِهِ إِذْ عَقَدَهَا لِآخَرَ بَعْدَ وَفَاتِهِ. The Imam Ali alayhi salam still wasn't given the leadership over the Muslims. Now, why is this such an important topic? Why is it so important that Imam Ali alayhi salam wasn't given the leadership over the Muslims? It's because that the Muslims or the believers were going to be led astray if the leadership of the Muslims was given to the wrong person. The Imam Ali alayhi salam, he never would even care about khilafat, not even think about the leadership unless it was for the right of the Muslims, unless it was for the guidance of the believers. The Imam Ali alayhi salam, the only reason he was so frustrated and he went through such irritation after the passing of the Prophet was all for us, all for the believers, and all only for the Muslims. The Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, and he complains about how Khilafat was given to Abu Bakr. Then he says how Khilafat was given to Umar. Why is this? The Imam Ali alayhi salam wouldn't complain about such a thing. The only reason Imam Ali alayhi salam complained and went through such frustration was because of us. The Imam Ali alayhi salam, he the only reason that he was frustrated or irritated was because he was seeing how the believers were being led astray, were being led on the wrong path by the two evil Khalifas, Umar and Abu Bakr. For 12 years he waited, and still after the 12 years nothing changed. Who was the Khilafah given to after Umar? It was given to Uthman, who also ruled for about 12 to 13 years. Imam Ali alayhi salam had to wait and had to go through this patience with such irritation that he similarizes it to a bone in the throat and a thorn in the eye for about 25 or 24 years. He saw and he was seeing with his own eyes how the believers were being led astray. They were being led upon the wrong path. But still he had to wait, and he had no other choice. For if he would lead a rebellion, the Islam or the religion that we had in our hands would not be here. Now there's a continuation to this khutbah which we will be going over in the future nights, inshaAllah. I thank you for giving me your time. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin.
خب انشالله آماده